right, everybody. Let's just go from here. Give me a second. And so I can throw this correct thumbnail in. Da-da-da-da-da. The music's hot, though. All right? Let's see. Are you ready? And here comes my face. Hi! Welcome to the show. It is a hot topic today because everyone's talking about slavery. Yay! And I'm pretty confident nobody thinks slavery is good, but it's being marketed that someone's saying it was good, or the word benefit or beneficial keeps popping up. So I guess that's what we'll talk about today. A little bit. Wow. Just freaking wow, if you ask me. But we're going to get to it right after the intro. Johnny, stop that music. Play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Yep, that's me. Johnny, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet. Welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel, where I was going to say the benefits of slavery are apparent because I'm here, but that has nothing to do with me being here. And I don't even want to joke about it because a lot of people, it's an emotional topic for many of us, particularly who are of African descent in the United States of America, who have descended from people who were entrapped in chattel slavery. And so I understand completely the emotion behind it, the anger that can come from it. But I think this is a topic that has gotten blown up in the media, and it's particularly, well, let's put it this way. And I said this, I tweeted somebody this morning. I said, the use of the term benefit or beneficial is being weaponized. And particularly if it can get if the vice president, well, I don't even want to say the vice president, she's the vice president, but the border czar of the United States immediately flies to Florida and gives some speeches about it. Same woman who still hasn't been to the border. This is some political hay to be made. And unfortunately, a lot of people are getting caught up in this conversation in ways that are kind of dumb, because you got a lot of my black conservative friends are rightfully saying that it's if you treat this as someone saying slavery was beneficial to us, that's ridiculous. On the other hand, if you can understand that the meaning behind that by the African American historians who put together, I'm talking about the Florida Standards schools, talking about how they talk about slavery. Probably, I'm pretty confident they were not saying that slavery itself was a positive thing. And so look, and unfortunately, it's very hard to be nuanced in this conversation, but I'm going to be nuanced today. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to be nuanced. And if I frustrate or anger some people, well, so be it. Because I'm pretty confident that these African American historians weren't saying that slavery was a good thing, that anyone should try it. No, it's a shitty thing. It's a shitty thing. I don't even know why I would even have to say that. But there are some idiots out there too who who's saying that, well, slavery is beneficial because you live here now and you could have been living in Africa. Well, that's a dumb argument because I don't have any choice in that now. And then some, make the point, well, slavery is not a jobs program. No, it wasn't a jobs program. It was an institution that's going on in the world for a long time that has never been positive, particularly for the people who are in it. No one's saying that. But I look at my own family history and think about what was trying to be said, and unfortunately this word shows up in the Florida standards of school whatever curriculum, and this one word has been just politicized to the point where unfortunately a lot of people are picking up on it without necessarily reading everything that has gone into it. And so I don't know, we'll get to it. First, let's say hi to everybody, because I got a lot of the news before that. So, obviously my time's short today again, but we do have. Oh, by the way, we do have 2 functioning vehicles though, because I went and stood out in the heat, 94-degree heat, and did a complete 4-wheel brake job for my wife the other day. So, sweating my ass off. Well, no, I got plenty of ass left because I got plenty of ass left. I didn't sweat that off. But anyway, first in chat over on Rumble, Mr. Avocados Diabli gets the bell. Also, good morning to Mike Savage Blarg, tall person who also has dropped a deuce in the tip jar. I will clean that up later. Who says, nuance? You can't use the N-word around these parts. Happy National Hamburger Day. Yes, it's National Hamburger Day. Go out and have a burger, but don't look. If you're gonna go out and have a burger on a National Hamburger Day, look. If your only choice is McDonald's or Burger King or something, I mean, if that's your only choices, sure, go ahead and grab a burger at one of those places. But there's a bar here in the Twin Cities, well, near me in my little suburb, that makes really, really good burgers. I might have to go to burger today. Thanks for thinking. Can you feel it? You can't tell. My mouth's watering because I just thought about this burger at this joint, this bar that makes really good burgers. Happy National Burger Day. Also, good morning, Phantom Dog Fart. Okay. Over on YouTube, first in chat. Also, Avocados Diabli gets the bell. Good morning, Sound Nation. Good morning, Lord Stanhope. Hello to JMK, Simon Wolfwood, Mike Savage Blarg. Let's see. Tyrannus, Alexandrius, Invictus Lich. I giggle every time I do that. Good morning, Maddie's in the house. Nice to see you. Who else is here? Lord Stanhope, good morning. Tall person's also over on YouTube. Anna Lynn's here. Hello, Rick Ashbringer, Septus Wolf. And a cascade of stars shall be rolling into YouTube as the notifications go out. Do me a favor, this show is sponsored by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Hit the like button during the show. Share this stream right now. Let's see if we can get 50 people into the chat today. Wouldn't that be awesome? Or just 50 people watching the show. That'd be awesome. And then if you want to sponsor the show, the best way to do it right now, I'm no longer monetized on YouTube, so you can't do super chats, but you can send a Streamlabs super chat, which is at pdognight.live. And I don't know, has it been even popping up in the chat? I don't know if it has. I'm gonna have to check that CloudBot because it doesn't seem to be working. Anyway, and the beauty of that is less money goes to the powers that be, and the rest, more of your intention goes to where it's intended. Good morning, Chicago Mike. Nice to see you down in the chat. Welcome, sir. All right, let's get into some of the nuance of the day. Real quick, though, thank you real quick to Tall Person, JMK, Tyler F., Somnambul Nation for tweeting out the show already without me even prompting. That's fantastic. Having bison miso burger later. Oh, It is the special at the place in town. That sounds good. We have a state park here in Minnesota that has original herd wild bison roaming. They have a state park where they and when I say original herd, what I mean is over the years the bison in the plains states in North America were nearly wiped out, but they there's some herds that were still alive, and they tried to help those herds along. But some herds they mixed breeded with some cows, and so there's a lot of bison, particularly bison that are commercial bison or that have cow DNA also. But there are a few herds left in North America that have zero cow DNA, and this is one of them down in southern Minnesota. We went down to that park a couple months ago, or was it a month ago? I don't know, sometime mid-June or early June. Oh no, it was in May, end of May. We went down to that park. It's near Mankato, Minnesota, and they have just you can drive through the park, and there's just wild buffalo out there, and you do not get out of your car. My dog was like, "What the hell is that?" and he's looking out the windows. But really cool though. And they have this thing where you can they have a radio station you can tune to, where there's a narrative talking about this bison herd, and it's really interesting. If you're ever in Minnesota, check it out in Mankato, Minnesota. All right, I don't know why I brought that up. Oh, because of the bison burger. Yeah, have a burger. Go get a good burger today. All right, let's talk about what's happening. A few things trending in the world. Haiti's trending now. It's interesting. Wrong one. There we go. The U.S. State Department has ordered a departure of non-emergency personnel from Haiti. Something going on there, probably because they're pissed off at the Clintons still. The U.S. State Department on Thursday ordered the departure of this has happened yesterday. Departure of non-emergency personnel from Haiti as the security situation in the country deteriorates. On July 27th, 2023, the Department of State ordered the departure of family members of U.S. government employees and non-emergency U.S. government employees, the agency said. U.S. citizens in Haiti should depart Haiti as soon as possible by commercial or other privately available transportation options in light of the current security situation as infrastructure challenges and infrastructure challenges. Oh, yeah. Yes, there was infrastructure challenges, whatever. U.S. citizens wishing to depart Port-au-Prince should monitor local news and only do so when considered safe. What the hell is going on in Haiti? The order follows a travel advisory from the U.S. Embassy in Haiti Thursday advising U.S. nationals to leave the country immediately using commercial transportation due to recent armed clashes between criminal groups and police in Port-au-Prince. The Department of State warned in a statement of a high threat of violent crime and kidnapping throughout the city. It added that U.S. government capacity to provide emergency services to U.S. citizens in Haiti is severely constrained. Given the recent armed clashes between gangs and police and the high threat of violent crime and kidnapping through Port-au-Prince, the Department of State urges you... Okay, they keep repeating this. Yes, leaves Haiti. Violent clashes have particularly affected neighborhoods in Vivi-Michel, Tabari, Torcel, Topage, and Troutier, which I have no idea where those are. I just know they're probably in Port-au-Prince. I'm sorry. By the way, I do have my cup of reparation right here in the John Wayne cup. Partner. Anyway. All right. Good morning, Nomad. Welcome.
Stop. Hammer time.
And Scribe Light. Dog Frapple. Nice to see you guys. Shit going down in Haiti. Now, it's like I said, it's trending. Let me see if anything else is in here. We're at war with Afghanistan for 20 years. We were at war with Vietnam for 19 years. We occupied Haiti for 19 years. How many years will we keep the war going in Ukraine? Because that has nothing to do with it. Robert Kennedy Jr. talking about the vaccines. We have a 4.2%. He's talking about stupid 19. Let's see. I mean, I might be witnessing the worst, most corrupt refereeing I've ever seen in China versus Haiti in the Women's World Cup. Offsides on China. overturned, and instead a penalty is called on Haiti, gives China a goal, then clear penalty in the box. China gets overturned. I wonder if they're having this problem because of the World Cup refereeing. Okay, but also Don. Remember, did I tell you Dom? I don't know how you pronounce this. Dom Lucer or whatever. He's been tweeting a lot about Haiti and the Clintons. He has a whole thread on why the Clintons deal in Haiti is just criminal and never been charged at all. So, and then others are talking about the Women's World Cup, which, I'm sure all of you are enthralled in watching and following every single game that's being played. Okay, also trending today, Mar-a-Lago's trending. Now, apparently, this thing with Trump and they're indicting him for the documents thing, right? Well, recently, I think it was yesterday, something was unsealed in this case, and apparently they've also, the Justice Department has also indicted a Mar-a-Lago maintenance guy for a voluntary interview he gave to those friendly FBI agents. So here, Michael Tracy, I think, has the thing here. The general allegations of this superseding indictment are re-alleged and fully incorporated here by reference. On January 13th, 2023, De Oliveira, that's the guy, participated in a voluntary interview with the FBI at De Oliveira's residence. During the interview, the FBI explained to De Oliveira that the FBI was investigating how classified documents have been kept at the Mar-a-Lago club, and the FBI asked De Oliveira questions about the location and movement of Trump's boxes and other items. De Oliveira was advised by the FBI that the interview was voluntary and that he could tell agents to leave at any time. The FBI also, look, the FBI, if you're not, look, if you're not used to being interviewed by somebody named with the FBI behind their name, you're probably, go say, no, I'm sorry, need a lawyer. But, oh my gosh, Carlos de Oliveira. Let me finish. Good morning, Now What Studios. Hello, Woo. If I blah, 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 the FBI also advised de Oliveira that it was a criminal offense to lie to the FBI. The interview was recorded on or about January 13, 2023 in Palm Beach County in the Southern District of Florida. Elsewhere, the defendant in a matter, Carlos de Oliveira, with the matter of the jurisdiction of the executive branch of the United States government, did knowingly and willingly make materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement representation, that is, in a voluntary interview during a federal and criminal investigation being conducted by the FBI. De Oliveira was asked the following questions and gave the following answers. Question: when, after the end of his presidency, boxes arrived at Mar-a-Lago, were you part of any group to help? No. To unload the box. Okay. They've indicted, they indicted a maintenance worker. Here's, let's see. Trump attorney Martin Shreds dropping new unhinged charges against Trump Mar-a-Lago Docs case, selective leaks. This again. And also they've leaked some more information about this. And why do they keep leaking information for it? Because they're trying to play a public opinion thing. Let's watch this little report here. Let's see if this is even worse.
What do we know that has come out of this meeting with Trump's attorneys and Jack Smith?
Well, I can't really speak to certain details, but I can tell you.
Oh, no. I don't want to hear about Trump's. I want to find out why this guy, let's see, 2016, Hillary Clinton and her top aides knowingly destroyed evidence and covered up their actions. Yes, they did. 2023 for Trump, indicted for instructing Mar-a-Lago employees to destroy evidence in stolen classified documents case. Trump Super PAC is paying legal fees for the employees who are now co-defendants. Look, here's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get his employees to testify against him. That's why. Trump apparently asked Mar-a-Lago security footage to be deleted. Wow, that sounds so familiar. Sounds so familiar. Listen, let them arrest, detain you, because you need a lawyer either way. Yeah. Let's see. Who is this? I'm rereading the superseding indictment, and details that have been there since are still gobsmacking. Oh, events that have held in that ballroom. Those events including weddings, movie premieres, fundraisers that drew together tens of thousands of guests. Safe to say the DOJ Smith's team obtained the event staff's records to illustrate why Trump's keeping hundreds of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago was reckless and dangerous. Oh, well, yeah, because Mar-a-Lago is an event center. Doesn't mean they weren't locked up. Okay, so anyway, apparently now they've they have indicted some of his employees too. Great. Also trending today, Leah Thomas, the swimmer, and it's not because of necessarily what Leah Thomas has said, but in a congressional hearing, it was either yesterday or might have been, it may have been Wednesday. One of Leah Thomas's teammates testified before a congressional committee. And we'll take a quick look at that. This is, what's her name? It is Paula Scanlon. So Paula Scanlon here. Let's get her on the screen. There we go. Let's do a little bit bigger. There we go. All right. Let's listen to Paula Scanlon's testimony regarding having Leah Thomas on her team.
This is representative of a greater issue, the destruction of free speech. Today, any discussion maintaining the sanctity of women's spaces is labeled transphobic, bigoted, and hateful. What's bigoted and hateful is the discrimination against women and the efforts to erase women and our equal opportunities, dignity, and safe spaces. One might ask, why do I speak so passionately about issues that seem hypothetical, or some may perceive as only impacting a small number of women? This is not hypothetical.
I was going to say, it's not hypothetical.
This is real. I know women who have lost roster spots and spots on the podium. I know of women with sexual trauma who are adversely impacted by having biological males in their locker room without their consent. I know this because I am one of these women. I was sexually assaulted on June 3rd of 2016. I was only 16 years old. I was able to forgive my attacker, but violence against women still exists.
That's interesting.
Let us not forget the viral Me Too movement that empowered female victims to speak up. It cast a spotlight on the widespread prevalence of sexual assault and abuse, including in scholarly and educational institutions. Individuals on this committee have previously stated violence against women is all too common. I am grateful for those members who have brought awareness to the violence against women in the past, but unfortunately, there's still much to be done. As a sexual assault survivor, many policies pushed today completely ignore my experiences and many women like me. I ask the members of this committee, please consider this issue outside the lens of political affiliations and understand the true...
Okay, now, that wasn't... I obviously clicked the wrong section to highlight. Here, let's do this. We'll go into the... Let's see if this is the one. Hang on.
Many of you already know this. What you do not know is the experiences of the women on the University of Pennsylvania swim team. My teammates and I were forced to undress in the presence of Leah, a 6'4" tall biological male, fully intact with male genitalia, 18 times per week. Some girls opted to change in bathroom stalls, and others used the family bathroom to avoid this. When we tried to voice our concerns to the athletic department, we were told that Leah's swimming and being in our locker room was a non-negotiable, and we were offered psychological services to attempt to re-educate us to become comfortable with the idea of undressing in front of a male.
Now, isn't that amazing? So these women who did not want to have a male in their locker room were offered psychological services, like something was wrong with them for not wanting, twigs and berries in their locker room while they were changing. Wow.
To sum up the university's response, we, the women, were the problem, not the victims.
How about that? And then let's see. There was also, we were expected to conform, to move over, and shut up. Our feelings didn't matter. Then there's memes, of course. So anyway, that's why Leah Thomas is trending, because during the hearing she was brought up. Riley Gaines was also a witness in that hearing or whatever. So let's see. Let's move on. We also have boycott Etsy. Anyone here shop through Etsy? Hello, Annalyn. What's up? Does anyone shop through Etsy here? Etsy, I don't know what I know what it is. I've just never used it. I know people like it. They buy stuff. Well, apparently now there's a movement to boycott Etsy over similar issues regarding the trans Tifa, because Etsy apparently. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, hang on here. Boycott Etsy is trending, and boy people are being mad. Tears filling up dry riverbeds over trans people, yet no one is expressing violence except that side. Saying biological women is now bigoted hate speech, but respect my pronouns or else isn't. Only people under attack are biological women. So, let's see. Violence against women and girls is so normalized in our society that mainstream retail outlets sells gifts to promote it. So apparently Etsy is selling items on Etsy. They will not allow people to, what happened is some people who are detransitioning from being trans, right? There was some items that Etsy wanted to put on, or people wanted to put on Etsy, that were stating support detransition or something like that. Nothing, violent or anything like that. And apparently Etsy rejected their items as being hateful. But when you go on Etsy, there are things like this. Respect pronouns, or I will identify you as the problem with a knife. There, like that seems like it's promoting violence, doesn't it? Or this one. Respect my pronouns, or yours will be was were. That sounds like they're promoting violence. Now, I do not condone this. And then, of course, they have these kinds of things. Trample turfs, yeet a turf, fight turfs, turf puncher, rest in peace turf, stab your local turf. Wow, those are some violent messages. But let's see, where's the ones that were rejected now? But they would not allow, they said these particular items are hateful. Detrans awareness, they consider that hateful. They considered believe detransitioners first do no harm. They consider that to be hateful. They think that funky human female is hateful. They wouldn't allow that item on Etsy. Or this one, 100% groovy, 100% woman. So those items have been removed from Etsy as being hateful, but there's all kinds of but this I believe cis women belong below trans women in the bedroom. That's not hateful at all. So anyway, that's why the boycott Etsy movement is up. And fortunately, I don't shop at Etsy anyway. I guess Etsy is one of these places where you can create stuff and then sell it and, keep you can keep part of the profits or whatever. Okay. Now, a couple other notable news items. The Emmy Awards, which I don't believe I have watched in 30 years. The Emmy Awards is being postponed for the first time since 9/11 due to Hollywood strikes. The delay comes after actors and writers strike prompted a Hollywood shutdown. The 2023 Emmy Awards are reportedly being postponed, marking the first time the ceremony has been pushed back since 9/11. Terror attacks, strikes by actors and writers that have effectively shut down Hollywood have promoted the move, with tens of thousands in the industry unable to promote their work due to the action. U.S. insider site Variety reported on Thursday that vendors for the 75th Primetime Emmys have been told that the ceremony will not air on the September 18th as planned. Fox is expected to announce that the Emmys will be rescheduled till January next year. Well, I'm really glad that they're reporting this, because I would have never noticed otherwise. I don't care. Now, and in fact, I'm curious, in the chat, I'd like you to respond with either a 1 or a 0. A 1 or a 0. If you have personally been affected by the writers and actors strike in Hollywood, put a 1. If you have not been affected by the writers and actors strike in Hollywood, put a 0. You've been affected, 1. You have not been affected, 0. Now, I personally am a big fat 0 because I really don't watch much TV. I don't really care about award shows. And really, we do watch quite a bit on Netflix, but lately we've been watching these Korean, whatever, the K-dramas, Korea dramas. They're these little, like, they're all mini series. They're like, they have a topic and they'll have like 10, 12, 15 episodes, and that's it. It'll resolve in 10 to 15 episodes. And what I've noticed about these, and I think what I like about them, especially because we watch a lot of other things too. Like, we've watched a lot of shows like what's that one? Shameless. We watched that entire series, and it was funny at first, but you'll notice if you watch any series of TV show that has been on for the last, say, 5 to 10 years, right around when they produce shows starting around the year 2020, every single show is fully intent on giving you some kind of political, I know I hate to use the word woke because those people don't know, but kind of message, right? They're always just inserting little stupid things in these shows. They'll suddenly start talking about microaggressions or some other stupid shit. And I'm like, I don't want to hear your politics or your little social commentary in my show. Write a good show and I'll watch it. And we're noticing we're watching this show called I think it's called The All American or something like that, like right now. And at first, the whole show was just telling this story about these, kids who play football and the one family. It's kind of like One Tree Hill for black people, because it's this kid from Compton who ended up playing football at Beverly Hills High, and all the complications being the poor kid coming to this school and whatever. But you can always tell that this was written before 2020, because there's no like super overtly politics in it. They do have one lesbian character or whatever that's one of the kid's best friends, but not like this in your face stuff. But around 2020, all of a sudden, the one daughter starts a blog about social justice and this and that and blah blah blah. And I'm like, so we started watching K-dramas, right? And they're hard to watch because you have to. They do subtitles, but the thing about these K-dramas, they're not constantly throwing that shit in you. They just write good stories, and it's like, it's like, you get away from it for a while. and it's so refreshing just to have someone write a good story, and you watch the series, and there's no constant beating you over the head with, political or social justice messages. They're just writing a good story about people who doing, falling in love or whatever. So we've been really enjoying it. Hello, Mike, my favorite liberals in the house. Nice to see you. So anyway, not missing the writers or the strike. All right, let's get into the main topic. And unfortunately, I didn't leave myself a lot of time for this, but I'll go into a couple things that I've talked about. So slavery, slavery being beneficial. Slavery is beneficial. That's the new talking point, because apparently in the Florida, school curriculum that has been being written, they have a whole section on slavery. It's 100 some pages or something, or maybe it's 18 pages. I don't know. A lot of pages, but there was one line in there that caught somebody's attention, because the line was talking about...
Were there beneficial aspects to slavery?
Hang on. The one line in there is talking about people who had been emancipated, right? Or at least, and said something about that some of the skills they learned while being enslaved helped them survive beyond slavery, right? And they're saying that the word beneficial was in there, right? Speaking for people in Florida, I talked to that are not private. What are you talking about? I live in Florida, and moderate Democrats and independents are getting tired of DeSantis and the many crises down here. Yeah, there's some issues going on in Florida. We know that. So anyway, this, but it was picked up on by some of the Democrats, and this entire section of curriculum that was written by African American historians, they're claiming that now Florida's curriculum, well, here it is. Here's what here's Ron DeSantis, they say that the curriculum is teaching that slavery's benefits, that it's teaching that slavery benefited people who were enslaved. Not that some skills that people learned within that system helped people survive once they got out of it, but that the entire institution of slavery benefited black people. And so we had Kamala Harris going down to Florida, and they've been shouting this from the rooftops, right? And I don't think these historians, in any way, shape, or form, were stating that slavery was good. I'm just saying. And in fact, I'm just going to read what I wrote, because now I don't have time to get into it as much as I wanted to. And part of it was because I was something that my friend Gabs posted, and in fact, here it is. And I'll put Gabs up here because I respect Gabs, and I know, and she's 100% right in what she says here. But I think that this is not the intention that the writers of this curriculum have. But let's listen to what Gabs says, because she's 100% right.
So I've been thinking about this whole Florida education standards thing, and if you were sexually assaulted as a minor repeatedly for years and years and years, and then you claim that your sexual assault made you a better lover, it would mortify people. That's why it's mortifying to hear people say that you benefit from slavery in any way, because learned things from trauma is not a flex.
All right, now. Hello, Selecta Boy, by the way. I'm sorry, I didn't even have that on the screen, did I? That doesn't matter if I had it on the screen or not. That, I don't think that's a flex, what is being said in the curriculum of the Florida Department of Education. It's not being used as a flex. That's saying slavery was good. And so, I'll go back here. Wait, what the hell did I do there? There we go. So Jeff Charles says she makes a good point. And I think she does make a good point if that is what the Florida Department of Education was saying, that because someone learned something during slavery, that it makes slavery good. And I disagree. That's what they were saying. But that is the message that's been pounded out in the media over the last few weeks. And everyone that is talking about this is basically, the straw man has been set up so well that you're arguing against something that the Florida Department of Education is not arguing. Okay? And so here's my thought on that. What Gabs is saying here is an excellent point. If you have been convinced that the black historians who came up with the curriculum were trying to say that slavery was beneficial to black people or painted in a positive light. But I don't think that's what they were doing. That's not what they were trying to say at all, based on the rest of the curriculum. This is one sentence in, whatever, a lot of pages of curriculum, right? But here it is. It's an example of how a single word can be successfully politically weaponized to the point where we have the border czar, who still I don't think has been to the border yet, flying to Florida to make speeches about that single word, and most people couldn't tell you anything else about the entire rest of the curriculum, which is far more robust than anything I ever learned when I was in, K through 12. It's a very detailed curriculum, and I've some of my friends online who are teachers saying, yeah, it's not saying slavery itself was a benefit. It was how people survived after slavery and the benefit of the things they learned, even though slavery itself was an evil institution. It has been for thousands of years. Now, also, just because you've gotten a benefit, so to speak, of learning something through a traumatic experience doesn't mean you're making the claim that that we should glorify or aspire or even want to go back to that traumatic experience. Okay, that's not the point. So let's say you were shipwrecked on an uninhabited island for 7 years and you survived and you were rescued, you probably developed some really good camping skills that might benefit you while you're on vacation with your family. It doesn't mean being shipwrecked was a great thing everybody should try, as most people would die if they were shipwrecked on an uninhabited island long before they had the opportunity to be rescued. Most people just die because they wouldn't know how to survive, or they'd get bitten by something that killed them. Okay, so no one's saying no one's saying that slavery in any way, shape, or form was a good thing. Now, people who after slavery was, outlawed, well, what did those people do? They survived from some of the skills they learned during slavery. That's what I think the point of this part of the curriculum is. Now, the people who first intentionally misconstrued the intention of the one word, benefit, they have masterfully piggybacked on the narrative that Ron DeSantis is trying to erase black history, or worse, whitewash it, yes, pun intended, at second worst. And they basically have taken like this 20-length lead on this race, and we're reacting to it just as they intended. they are, they have basically cemented a narrative that the state of Florida, and not just the state of Florida, but Ron DeSantis himself is claiming that slavery was beneficial. That ain't it. That's not it. That's not what's happening. So anyway, now Ron DeSantis is getting questions about this. I have the, here, I'm going to show you something that was on, let's see. Let me show you something that was on Fox. Let's see here. Here we go. We'll watch. So we're going to watch what, this is a segment from Jesse Waters on Fox. And the reason I'm playing this is because one of the people who was involved in the creating of this curriculum. Here. This is good. It also shows you what Kamala Harris did.
It's about slavery. Remember when the left accused Florida of not teaching slavery in schools? Now they're saying Florida is teaching slavery.
Yeah, because that was part of the claim too. Oh, we're not going to talk about slavery in schools. Well, they do, and it's a pretty robust curriculum. But anyway,
slavery, but they're teaching that slaves benefited from slavery. The Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, is the tip of the spear for this hoax.
In the state of Florida, they decided middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
Hold up, Kamala. What's this we shit? What is this we shit, Kamala? You know, most of the ADOS or foundational Black Americans know that you are not one of us. First of all, well, I was adopted to an ADOS family. Remember, Kamala Harris, her mother's from India, her father's from Jamaica, and there was a family history of owning slaves in the father's family. So she's not an African American in the sense of being a descendant of American slaves. So I'm not sure, but she can be indignant because people are saying, oh, she's a Black vice president. And some people say, oh, she's an Indian vice president, first Indian American, blah, 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 blah.
They want to replace history with lies. How is it that anyone could suggest that in the midst of these atrocities, that there was any benefit to being subjected to this level of dehumanization?
That's what I want.
Now, notice again, look, this has been successful, this little campaign, into making people think that Florida, the state of Florida, is declaring that slavery was beneficial to the people who were enslaved. It's conflating a single word about a single aspect of people's lives and saying the entire curriculum is saying slavery was beneficial to Black people, which it absolutely does not. But I can understand. See, the problem is the people who wrote this curriculum probably weren't expecting, and they should have expected to be a little bit careful in their wording, because it was always going to be pushed that Ron DeSantis is trying to change history, trying to not give people real history, trying to first doesn't want to teach African American history. You remember when the AP African American history course, right? So they've been after this ever since, and so they've taken one word out of multi-pages of curriculum.
No one's saying slaves benefited from slavery. No one's saying that slaves benefited from being torn out of their continent, stuffed into deadly slave ships, and brutalized by their masters. No one's saying that. Anyone who read the curriculum knows that. Primetime read it. It's a rich, thorough, and rigorous curriculum which covers over 400 years of the black experience with slavery. Now, one element in this year-long course covers how, quote, slaves developed skills which, in some instances, could be applied for their personal benefit. Instruction includes trades performed by slaves, blacksmithing, carpentry, agricultural work, that through their resilience and aptitude were able to develop under horrific conditions.
Again, and it is, but they needed to find something that they could weaponize. And unfortunately, I mean, right now you got Tim Scott saying, oh, no, saying, and a lot of my fellow black conservatives, people on the right are on this kick that it's, slavery wasn't beneficial to black people. Of course it wasn't. That's not the point. They're not arguing that slavery was a good thing at all. Okay.
And then by their freedom are also used to benefit their families once they're freed. Now, there's nothing controversial about that. That's historical fact.
Well, it is controversial because you said something that could be construed as being positive about slavery, because that's the way some people are taking it. So I understand the anger or just the entire incredulity about it. But I'm trying to balance it in my head, saying, okay, what is this really trying to say? So he brings in one of the creators of the curriculum.
CNN says Kamala's lying.
Well, it's amazing to me that how little Kamala Harris apparently has to do, that she can read something.
Okay, this is not CNN saying she's lying. This is one opinion person who's saying she's lying. That's the thing. But anyway.
Twitter one day and be on an airplane the next to make something literally out of nothing. This is a completely made-up deal. I looked at the standards. I even looked at an analysis of the standards in every instance where the word slavery or slave was used. I even read the statement of the African-American scholars that wrote the standards, not Ron DeSantis, but the scholars.
Yeah, they are blaming it directly on Ron DeSantis, too. And he didn't write it. I don't even know if he approved it. Who knows? That was not part of the, whatever, his thing.
Everybody involved in this says this is completely a fabricated issue. And yet, look how quickly Kamala Harris jumped on it.
ABC News, which is owned by Disney and is out to get Ron DeSantis, spoke to one of the academics who created the curriculum. He said,
listen how they cut off what this man said.
It is the case that Africans proved resourceful, resilient, and adaptive, and were able to develop skills and aptitudes which served to their benefit, both while enslaved and after enslavement.
But what ABC didn't air was this.
The only criticism I've encountered so far is a single one that was articulated by the vice president, and which was an error. As I stated in my response to the vice president, it was categorically false. It was never said that slavery was beneficial to Africans.
Ding.
What was said, and anyone who reads this will see this with clarity, it is the case that Africans proved resourceful, resilient, and adaptive, and were able to develop skills and aptitudes which served to their benefit.
Now, it's funny. Notice how CNN didn't put the other part of that in. That's the same statement that the person made.
Both while enslaved and after enslavement.
Now, one of the authors of the Florida curriculum, Dr. William Allen, joins me now. So, Dr. Allen, why do you think Kamala Harris is being dishonest about what's being taught about slavery?
Now, that's a loaded question, and he doesn't take that bait either. But I'll tell you why. Because it's politics. And especially the Democrats need to fire up black voters. And the rest of us who have listened to this debate have seen it from the perspective that, well, the reporting on it is Florida saying that slavery was beneficial to the slaves. And that's what, if you see that and hear that enough times, you're like, well, no, that's fucked up. Well, that's what everyone's reacting to. And that's why this is the first interview I've seen with this gentleman who trying to explain it. you know, because again, I understand the emotions behind it. My great grandfather was a slave. That's how close to this you can get. He was 7 years old at the during the Emancipation Proclamation, or excuse me, during the end of the Civil War. He was 7 years old when the Civil War ended and was brought north, and ended up, he was adopted by a family in Iowa, and died with a 160-acre farm that he handed down to his family. He ended up being a farmer and had his own farm, but that's how close it is. My great grandfather, that's not that far, for a lot of us people who are black or African American or who, in descendants of slaves, which I am by adoption, but my parents both were descendants of slaves. That's how close it was. My great grandfather, my mother's great grandfather, my dad's grandfather, and not his grandmother. Yeah, no, his 2 generations beyond that. We can name slaves in our family history. That's how close it is. So I understand why it's an emotional issue, but it's not what Florida's teaching. That it's not saying that slavery was beneficial.
Permit me not to give you Kamala Harris's motives. They are invisible. I don't know them. We
Politics.
Can all have
I can.
That there's a dishonest purpose afoot.
It's politics.
But what's more important than that
damage around
dishonest purpose
DeSantis
is the truth. And this curriculum is devoted to telling the truth, whereas Kamala Harris has retailed a lie. Now, it may only have been a falsehood the first time she stated it, but when you repeat a falsehood, it becomes a lie.
Tell her right now what specifically this component of the slavery course teaches.
Well, permit me to have Frederick Douglass tell her. He wrote an autobiography in which he described how the mistress of his slave owner began to teach him to read. She pulled back the curtain through which a glimmer of light shone before the master forced her to close it. But that glimmer of light was enough for Frederick Douglass to illumine a bright flame that he exploited to his benefit and his country's benefit thereafter. Such examples are numerous, and they're retailed in the stories of people who suffered the indignity of slavery time and again. And quickly, permit me to say, what this curriculum is about is having people who live the experience, who live the history, tell their stories. And nothing is more important than that we never, ever erase the stories that the people who live the stories tell. No one has a right to interpret before first understanding the stories as the people who lived them understood them themselves.
Are there academics that disagree with your scholarship?
Well, there are certainly academics who call it into contest. Whether you would consider Heather Cox Richardson an academic or not may be questionable, but she has at great length questioned it. But her questioning is as irrelevant as Kamala Harris's falsehood, even though she correctly cites the sentence that was called into question. Why? Because what is being done here is the attempt to create stories for our time and impose them on people who told their stories in their own time, thereby erasing their stories. And that means my story, by the way. Because after all, my great-grandfather came to this country through fraudulent inducement, looking for opportunity only to find himself a slave. But he had the pluck to seek opportunity. And that pluck that he brought with him provided the skills, provided the initiative that allowed him post-slavery to establish his family securely. And this is the...
So anyway, I'll stop there. There's more of this interview, but you can watch it on your own. It'll be on the links. So like I said, the single word that was plucked out of this entire curriculum, they have successfully weaponized it now. So now everyone's talking about this, and I understand. Like I said, I completely understand the outrage by the idea that someone would say, someone would say that slavery was beneficial to black people, because it wasn't. Okay. But sometimes you got to make you know, no one was making lemonade out of shit. Let's put it that way. So that's the topics today. There are a couple other articles I'm not going to get to. We'll be back on Monday to talk about other things in the news. But this is one that I look, I don't have any problem with what Gab said, because she's based it on the same idea that someone's saying something positive about slavery, and I don't think anybody is. Although there are some idiots on the internet who maybe can't figure out how to say it in a nuanced way. Well, you benefited from slavery because you're in America now. Well, again, I wasn't the slave. Okay? I was not the slave. Okay, they're arguing that the slave benefited from slavery. And that isn't even what the point of the one line in the curriculum is about. So I'm going to leave it to that. Ty Alexander, thank you so much for sponsoring the show. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you very much. Tyre says, you have to remember, P, that these cunts are the same people that had a statue of Lincoln standing over a man in chains that was commissioned and paid for by freed slaves removed. They don't care about slaves. They want to push a narrative. Fuck them. You are 100% correct. This is being used in a cynical way to push a narrative, deliberately twisting what it means, and specifically to for political purposes. And unfortunately, many of people on the right have also succumbed to this interpretation without actually necessarily reading the entire curriculum. And again, the curriculum, I've read this. It's way more than I ever learned about anything when I was in school. Now, granted, I'm an old man. Tyre, shut up. And but anyway, thank you, Tyre, very much. All right, guys, I got to go. Tarai Deos, good morning. Duck and Felonies, Suck the Boy, all the people I've missed who I see in the chat now, welcome, and hope you watch the rest of the show. Thanks, everybody, for being here, though, and I hope you all have a great weekend, but I got to go. My name is P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.